And Jack, you talked about, you said it before, that ticking clock early on. There was a tension in the book, especially once you get past, here's what's happening, everybody. But there's also that tension, that ticking clock, because we know what's going to happen. When you're writing stuff like that, like, first of all, I knew that feeling. I remember especially when I was in Iraq and they said, we're leaving in a month. And in your head, you're like, well, now is not the time for something to happen. And there's a specific feeling that goes, and I felt that in the book where it really felt like these Marines felt like that the whole time. Like, just, we know something's about to happen. Something's going to go down. We don't know what it is. We don't know when it's happening, but we know it's going to happen. Was that what you were kind of aiming for with the way you set this up?
I don't even think I was aiming for it. I think it was just something that was natural. Just like you said, I mean, it's not just your experience in the military. That's most people's experience, is that, we're getting down to that last month. Okay, don't think about it. Don't think about it. These last 2 weeks are going to be the longest. Like the first 2 weeks and the last 2 weeks, kind of the longest. The last 2 weeks feel like it's almost a year. So I think that was a natural part, but I'm curious to hear what James has to say about it. But I mean, they were in that stage, essentially. And for you in Iraq, I wrote this in my first novel, the thriller, because I was there in 2004 in Iraq when, I forget what unit it was, but they went to the airport. At the airport, they're Army, so they were there already a year. They got turned around for another 4 months. They were ready to go. They had sent people home to go prep at home, at the duty stations at home, to get ready to accept them when all the other planes started coming in with all the personnel and gear. Those people had to come back, and I think a few of them did not make it after they had to come back and do another 4 months. So I think that's just a very natural thing for any military unit that's deployed, but that certainly was the case here.
Yeah, and I'll add too, you talk about the rising tension. That tension was naturally present. I mean, it's, the guys get there initially and they're building playgrounds and they're doing dental checks for the local orphanages. And very quickly, the situation starts going sideways for them. And it really begins with the bombing of the American embassy in April. But the Marines arrived right after that. And very quickly, that summer, things start going downhill. They start getting the mortar and artillery shells coming into the airport compound. They suddenly start getting attacked by snipers. The first couple of Marines get killed, and then 3 or 4 more, and then 5 and 6. And so the tension is building, and and it's paralleled by the tension that's going on outside in the community, that they can see, the change around them, and that suddenly there's the slums around them are filled with young military-aged males. The women and children are vanishing, and obviously the guys that are fighters and terrorists are moving in. That tension builds naturally in that environment. Like, all we were doing is reporting what the Marines were seeing, what their daily. We're looking at their message traffic. We're looking at their weekly counts. They're seeing all this escalating violence. They're seeing that the situation's getting worse and worse, and really they're doing everything they can at that point and just trying to get to the end of their deployment and get out safely. But you really, though, and you reading those letters and stuff like that, those last few weeks, I mean, everybody's it's pins and needles. And then, of course, the bombing happens.